word of our community's acclaim spreads.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another creative stream with me, Guthron. I would normally have my... let me turn that down just a little in my ears. Okay, so normally I'd have a talk screen up, but I've currently have the camera not pointed at me for this. Sorry, it's not arranged correctly for me to do that. Okay, so I'm going to be trying a new setup. We might as well switch over to it. There you go. So now you guys are going to be able to see what I'm doing much more clearly, which is the hope that you will be able to see what I'm doing as I'm stitching, instead of looking down from on top of looking down from way up above. Now you can be right here. So the camera is right there. Well, I hope so, Pixel Sharks. Now I just gotta get my microphone all the way over here. I was working on other things. While I was setting all this up, so I think I'm gonna have to relay the wire for the microphone is all. Alright, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me perfectly fine. Turn the music down on the stream just a little. There we go. Alright. So as you can see, I'm working right here in this section. And I need to shrink that down a little so it's not so massive. That's better. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to be working through this section right here. So we're going to continue putting the green in up along there, and probably have to swing down and do this side. As I do that, I'll just move the camera so that you can see more. I have it on a fairly tight zoom right now. If I have to change that, I could change that. Again, I apologize for the coughing. Not really feeling too well right now, but this is so what do? I go and take part in something that's guaranteed to make it harder for me to speak to you, because I'm going to have to talk so much. Alright, so first let me grab my case, which I set down earlier when I was making some adjustments to this frame. I did, after yesterday's thing, I did decide to switch it so that it's going long ways along the thing instead of all the way up here. Instead of having the top heading this direction on this, I flipped it. I don't know why I didn't think to do this before. It gives me a much larger frame of reference here to work with. So, and hopefully it gives you a better view of what it is I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be starting right about there, but I need new thread because I finished off the one I was working on last night. I don't limit this to just doing it on the stream, but more times than not I end up doing it more on the stream than I do anywhere else. But at this point I want to get this done, so whenever I'm sitting down and watching something, I make sure that I'm working on it. And now that I have this stand, it's really easy to set up. Okay, so all I'm doing right now is messing with some of the thread, so you can see. I'm going to tilt this camera down just a little so you guys have a little bit better view of what I'm doing when I'm back over here. So these are the extra threads I've been pulling off of the larger threads because, as you can see, there are multiple threads there. In this case it's 3. The one that I'm pulling off of has 6, but I only need 5. So every time I've got one extra, I just add it to that strand, and when I get 5 on that one, I just use that one. But I'm starting to run out of places to do this color, so that means I don't have to worry about it much longer. I will likely finish before I need that extra one I'm making, so I'll just have a couple extras sitting on the side. I don't get rid of thread. I save it, because you never know what project you're working on. You might decide needs a little bit different color, if anything. So, save them. My wife actually just went to, she thought I needed some color for something. I don't know why. Apparently a conversation we had. And so she went and grabbed a grab bag of thread and let me look at it first to see if there was anything I needed, but as I didn't recall the conversation in which I said I needed something, I didn't really take a look because at this point I have all the thread that I need. I think what she's talking about is I was commenting that I didn't think I had enough of this green thread because I was running out of the group that I had, not realizing that there was a whole nother grouping, maybe 2. So that may have been what she was queuing on. She heard me talk about that. My tactic today is to just point my head at the ground and not say a word. Just point my head at the ground and cough down there so you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, just stretching a little. So this one has 6 strands. I'm going to remove 1 of them. So I peel one off. Trying to do that where you can see it. I peel one off like that. Separate it on either side of my finger like so. So if you look on that finger, there's a slight one on top. And then I just pin them down between my fingers. And then I start doing this. Oh, sorry. I really shouldn't do that with the camera on. So I'm going to basically twist with this finger. So I'll twist with this finger right here and stick my index finger through, and then I will just pull like so to separate them. That's all I'm doing right now. So if I'm pulling 2 threads off, I'll just pull 2 of them. The only difficulty is these 6 strands together like to get tangled up when you're trying to pull one off. So you kind of have to be pulling with a little bit of pressure and twisting carefully, so to make sure that you don't get any knots. But the more threads that you have, the more likely you're going to have an issue with it knotting. So I'm going to zoom out just a little for right now. So I'll get trying to get the zoom just right. There we go. Okay, so now you get to see the joy. You know, I have a nice big long head right there, see? So that's much better. And I got the things as flat as I can get them, see? So I did some maintenance on my channel today. Had some time. I was thinking about doing a writing stream earlier, but I was starting having to have issues with OBS when I was trying to set up different scenes so that I could give you guys a better view. I ended up setting 2. One for my... Sorry, that's me doing some moisturizing, so because damp thread moves better. Now comes the fun part. Now I'm going to figure out how to do this without making you guys dizzy. So what I may do for just a moment is turn this main camera off for a moment so that I can set the camera down. You'll be able to see what I'm doing on the second camera. So basically all I'm going to do is flip this over. Let's fix the pattern. I'm going to flip it over, and thanks Pixel Sharks, I was hoping the view would be better. I'm just going to flip it up a little, like so, and then push this up a little. Okay, so now I got an angle to the bottom, right? I don't think there's a way for me to set up this other camera to give you a view, but I'll try. We'll see if that works. There. It's not the best view on the planet, but at least you'll be able to, yeah, see, it's not really because of the angle that it's at. Let me turn this off again. Take the needle out of my mouth. It's not really letting me position it in a way that gives you an actual view of what I'm doing. So I'm going to try something different. Try a wide-mouthed jar so that I can stick part of the thing down in there. Okay. I'm not, for some reason my microphone keeps, the feed on it keeps going red. I'm not really sure. Hopefully it doesn't affect what you are hearing. Okay, that's a much better view. So. There you go. So. What I have to do now, besides not cough your ears off, is I have to find the side on the top part that's closest to where I left off. And it's actually kind of easy because that right there is a knot from the tie-off. Yes, this is, for anyone wondering, this is so much easier to do when I don't have to hold this thing. Alright, so I want to go the same direction because I could pull through this direction, which would probably be easier because I'm right-handed, but since this other thread is coming through this direction, you know, so it's going this direction, I don't want to pull it out, so I'm going to go this direction also. That direction. I think it might be better to just start a new one. You want to go through at least 2. I'm going to go through the other knot. That'll just make it more secure. And I gotta do the tough tug. Alright, so we did the first one. The first pass through. You gotta do a second one to finish the knot. So I will, it's going to be kind of hard to see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a second time right here, but you have to pin down the part when you go to pull through so that it doesn't get tugged along with it. So here, push that a little farther back from me. I'm going to block your view. Alright, so now I'm through. So what I'm going to do is because there's so many threads, it gets jammed when you get to the thread part because I'm not just pulling 5 through, I'm pulling 10 through because it's pulled back. So sometimes I got to bring in some extra help. It's getting a little messy right here, which could lead to a knot. So we'll pull it out. Oh. Potential for another knot. Let's pull this back through just a little. And boom. So there, we tied it off. Alright. So I'm going to stick that through there. So now it's on the other side. Tilt this back down. Now is when I'm really experiencing the jam. Oh, sorry. That's when I'm really experiencing the jam of those clothes behind that screen right there. They're all thick stuff too. One of them's my Captain America cosplay. Okay, so right about there is good. So that, actually I think I'm going to tilt it down just a little bit more. Oh, tighten. And then tip this back so I can get the camera on here. Alright, so now I'm going to move the camera again, which means turning you guys down just a little. Sorry, I had to say something. Alright, so I'm going to turn the camera off for a moment while I move it. Get it back in the position where we want it to be. Okay, we want it pointed down just a little. Sorry, it's not sitting correctly now. Joy. Joy, 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 the fun with cameras. Sorry, I'm not meaning to keep you guys in the black so long. It's just, for some reason, I can't find the angle that I had before. There we go. That's better. Alright, so let's adjust the focus. And turn it back on. There. So now you can see pretty much similarly to where we were before. Hopefully it doesn't mess with you guys too much. So I'm going to set the pattern on this now, like so. Sorry, I apologize for the coughing. I need to drink some agua. Okay, so just keeping certain things in view. All right. So on the pattern, I'm about no, I think I've flipped. I'm on the other side. Yeah, because I did the long down slope. So I'm up here now. So this section right here of the pattern is where this is. I'm going up this part, so that's this part right here. And I go all the way up to it, it looks like. But I have to make room for this. These stars that you see right here, I have to make room. I have to leave space for them because I'm going to come back later. It'll be really nice doing this section once I'm done with this one because everything that's left open gets filled by that color. I won't even need to. What I may do is do the bottom. Yeah, the bottom line, which is that one right there. It's right there. If I do the bottom line, then I can just say, alright, fill the top up and just go. Okay, so. Well, and I did find my big scissors. Ones I was missing yesterday. I found them. They were actually in the outside pocket of my bag. Because it was zipped up and we needed to get out the door. I think I'm right at the crease. Yep, so I need to come up right here. Something doesn't make sense. Oh, I'm down here. Okay. So I did the 2. And the 2, 4. Okay, so this is 2. To make it go faster, I'm going to use both hands today. Problem is, I'm not quite as good with my left hand as I am with my right hand. Okay, so above this one is a 1-1 split. So it basically covers three places, but it skips 1. And then above that is a 2. Setting that right there so I don't have to constantly keep holding it. Trying to be as gentle as I can with the bounce. Need to find a slightly better way than just setting the camera right on the thing. I know what I've been forgetting this whole time. I knew something fell off. Okay, there we go. Now it feels like I'm streaming. Forgot my hat. Oh, hello. There we go. So then it's a twofer on top of that. Yep. So just come right back up the same place I just came out. Up taut. And I think after the stream, I actually experiment with moving this thing farther, because I can get it lower, so that the side edge is sitting on the desktop. That might help with some of the bounciness until I get a separate arm for the camera. I need to just do it. Keep putting it off. Other things to spend the dollars on. Lots of things to spend the dollars on. Can't really justify the expense right now. Okay, now I do 3 here. And thanks, Pixel Sharks. I know you said that a while ago, but hopefully it worked well through that whole sequence where, oh, I can feel a knot starting. And most of the knots that start to form, if you catch them as you're coming back up, most of them form two ways. As you're pulling this down through here, these things can become tangled like that and wrapped. And if you keep pulling, they end up locking themselves in. And all you have to do to get them is to pinch the knot between your fingers and then pull it So in this case, it would be non-cooperative thread. It would be pinch the knot like so, and then pull up, and it would disconnect the wrap. The other way is if you take your needle and you accidentally like go right through the thread. I've done that one a lot. It's a pain. It's a pain in the neck because you have to basically find where you pierced the thread, and pull all of the thread with the needle back through that point. And you want to do that so you can preserve the thread. Oh, see, there it goes again. And it always happens on the back side. I'm not really sure because I'm doing the same thing up here. Maybe it's because it's hanging and up here it's sitting. Okay, so 3 on top of that, and then a 2. So really the only difference is that it's hanging on the bottom. So I'm not really yeah, that must be playing into it. That it's just kind of dangling there. When it gets pulled back up, they get entangled. Whereas up here, it's sitting on the thing, so you don't have to think about it as much. Oh. See, there it happened again. This one feels a little bit more. This one's definitely a bit more. Basically, let me move this smaller camera over here down so you can watch. Come on, stop fighting with me, you stupid camera. Okay, so you can see the knot right there. It's that one right there, basically. So I'm going to try to pull it out without ruining the thread. And initially, it looked like it was just going to be one of those other ones, but in the process of trying to pull it out, I realized that it had actually tied itself into a knot. So I have to insert the thread, pull the knot one way, because it basically had tied a shoestring-like knot, the initial knot that you tie on a shoestring. So I released the pressure that was on that, and then pulled the thread through with my finger to get the rest of the knot out. And voila, that is done. So let's go back up here. There you go. And pull the rest through. Voila. With this massive amount of thread that happens so often. I've pulled out more knots during this stretch. And I've had a lot of knots with that, but I've had more knots with this stretch of 5 thread than I've had with most anything else. Okay, so we did the 2-fer, and now it's a 3. I like to use like sharp. So if you look at that needle, that's got a kind of a sharp edge. I like to use a sharp edge when I'm needling, because you have the option of a sharp edge or like a ball point. The only downside to that is you have to be really careful when you come up through the opening, because you could actually you could get part of like that hole right there. You could get a part of it. You can see more of them over here. You could get one bit of thread from the fabric, from the cloth, and so you're not technically coming through, and most people won't notice it, but an experienced eye will see that the cross is not quite right. It'll be like a little bit like that. So instead of like this, it'd be like that, going just shy of just to the left or right of the corner. I've seen a couple of those in here. Oh, you get to see a knot on top. This is exactly what I was talking about. These things wrap themselves around. So I just pull and pull, and until I get it right on top of each other, and then I split the threads, and there. That's all. That's most of my knot. If you're paying attention, that's most of the knots that are going to happen. It's actually really strange to me to have my left hand free, like this. Last night I got a lot of practice doing the right hand, left hand switch back and forth, because the only light source that I had, was coming off of my shoulder here. So if I used with my right hand, the light was being blocked. So I had to put my right hand under and left hand on top, so I could actually see what I was doing. Until my wife turned something on to paint. She decided she was going to do a little painting. Not like a picture or anything. It was more she's hanging some shelves in our bathroom, so she wanted to paint them. Okay, so it was a 3. Yeah, that puts us all the way across there. Okay, so now I have to plan a little. There's technically one more on this right there. I need to plan a little. Because I am going to have to come back down the side of this. So I'm going to see how much up here and how close it gets. Because what I may decide to do is do some skip stitching, where I'll skip some squares that are all right connected to each other, all the way down the side while I fill this up, and then come back up. By the time I get back up, it'll all be done on this side, and then I continue on up here and go. I do that a lot, actually. And there is a lot down there to be stitched in. Yeah, there's going to be some all along here, like filling that thing out. There'll be some along the bottom, which is just out of your sight or range of view, and some along out here. So, you know what? I'm going to try something for a moment. Pardon the camera move. It's honestly, it's the wire that's causing most of the problem. Let's see what happens when I put you up here, where the camera can actually get a grip. No, you gonna fight me on that? Dang it. Well, I mean, you can see. Set that right there. Okay. So, give me just a moment. I'm going to switch to the what is that doing in there? I'll switch to this while I fix the camera. I'll still be here, I'm not actually going anywhere, but between the wire being, because I plug these directly into the back of my computer, what I may need to start doing is plugging it into the front when I want to do this. Alright, that's a little better. Okay, so for the part that I'm working on, that works. Let me swing the light over so there's more light. Okay. So what I was saying is I have to come all the way down this, and there's little bits and pieces out through this space that I'm going to need to work on. So I have to kind of plan for that as I go up and then down the side. Then I'm going to have to come back up it. When I go down, I can come back up with, you know, finishing off the thing. Oh, okay. Thank you, Pixel Sharks. I'm glad to hear that it's a view. We'll see how it works in the long term. Give me a moment. I'm just determining exactly where I am on this stretch. it's really easy to lose your way on this stuff. Right there. Okay. So do 2. I'm only going to do 1. I'm going to do this, the outside one. Normally I leave the outside one so I can come back up the outside. But again, I'm all about conserving thread. So I try not to do too many double, go 2 holes, like from there to there. I like to go from like that. I like to use less thread. So that distance instead of, say, that distance. So I'm using a lot less thread that way. Some people say it's just being obsessive compulsive about it. I just think it's smart use of your limited resources. So 2 and then 1. So I'm going to skip that one and go down to the next one. So there's a 2, 1, 1. Oh, let's try the knot again. Oh, hang on. Sorry. There you go. So were you referring to the previous view? Since you couldn't actually see the one that it's on now? Alright, it's not saved. So let's go under. Hi Setherizer, how are you? Welcome to the creative stream. Trying a different angle this time. Basically, you can see me through that camera, and I put the nice camera, the C920, pointing down at this so you guys can actually see what I'm stitching. It's sitting on the cross stitch right now, but eventually I'm going to change that by having an arm. But you'll still have this kind of view. I like this view. Outside of the fact that I have a very, very scratchy throat right now, I'm doing well. How about yourself? What have you been up to lately? Oh, well, first time for everything. The previous views, it was kind of, the camera was up looking down, so I tried to zoom it, but it was still. And this rack that it's sitting on, I built yesterday on the stream. I'm currently working my way down this. I'm putting in this green right here is meant to be the trees, the pine trees going down the side of the mountain. You can see the mountain right here. You can see part of it on this side right here. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a swath of trees going along here, and there's going to be spots over here. But I'm doing it in a way so that I can come back up and have it completely finished and be back up where I stopped my progress. Because it's like this, it's a very, I have to keep referencing the pattern because I'm, one, having to make sure I get it in the right place, but two, determine what's the most thread efficient way to get down and still leave a thread efficient way to get back up. Sorry, pardon the coughing. I'm trying to cough down so that it's not into the microphone. So who have you been watching lately, Setherizer? Anybody interesting that I might be interested in catching some streams? I've been watching a lot of Elise. I should give her a shout out. She is the one that helped me get all of my followers, the follower count so high. There you go. No game. She actually plays City Skylines a lot. Cool. I just like to see if people have discovered anybody new. Okay, so that's basically what you see there. This is 3 rows of 2 strands coming out from here. I left that one empty, I left both of these empty, and I left that one empty so that when I'm coming back up I can do that. Rocket League. Yeah, I got that. I just didn't get into it as much. Maybe if I'd actually, instead of getting it on PC, if I got it on console, it might have been better. Alright, so now we're getting into some rows. So I'm going to do half of the rows going down, and then get the other half on the way back up to this little point. Filling in this little offshoot here. But I've definitely seen some really amazing players at that game. Just, I'm not one of them. Oh. I apologize for bumps on the camera. I'm not trying to make you sick. Seriously, really, I'm not trying to make you sick. A lot of times when you see it taking a moment to bring the needle back up from the bottom, you have to realize I'm doing it blind. I'm not looking at it. So you'll see, do you see that little thing moving underneath it right there? That's the needle, and I'm basically I'm dragging it across, and sometimes you'll see it come up through holes like that. So I'm dragging it I'm dragging it across to get to the right point, and then making sure I come up cleanly through it. A lot of times when you're coming up in a point that's already got thread on it, like these up here, it's, especially with me using 5 strands right now, it can really clog up a hole. So coming back up through all that really can sometimes be really tough. So yeah, I was considering doing a writing stream earlier, but instead I did some stream maintenance. I was getting tired of OBS being a butt, and the only thing I could determine was that the stream elements overlays were providing just a little too much stuff. So I went through and tweaked them, and created some for me to do this. Now, well, the question is, yes, good. I was smart about that. All right, so that little offshoot there is now filled, like so. And I'm back up at the top here, where I left off. So do you actually play Rocket League, or do you just watch people play it? Either way, I'm just curious, because I know a lot of people who won't play something, but they will sure watch a heck of a lot of it. Like I try to jump in on some Overwatch streams all the time. I have no desire to actually play the game, even though I do own it. Just, I really would only want to play with my friends. I don't like playing those kind of games with random people. When I was into WoW, I always avoided the PvP stuff, and I hated when those festivals came along that required you to go into PvP to do some of it. Their way of making you experience another part of the game. Like, I don't want to. I don't like people in this game. Right. So, before I do this one, I actually am going to swing out just a little. Because I want to want to get, there's a couple pieces out here in the middle here that I need. That game, Factorio, oh, I don't like it. I tried it on stream, and my frustration was recorded. I just felt like the game was... Now this time I'm going to have to use more thread than I like to, but that's just the nature of it. It just, for me, it seemed like there was the tutor thing to get you through it just wasn't sufficient enough. So that was my issue with it. They weren't telling. I went through the tutor thing, and it was all about building and operating a train. But what I needed to know was how to set up things to get resources, and they didn't include any of that in there. For a game as complicated as that, I was kind of surprised. But hey, I'm not the developers. Oh, Golf with Friends. We've been playing that, Pixel Sharks, on weekends. We're actually playing some tonight before one of our teammates goes on a cruise to Indonesia. This is such an entertaining song. See, one of the problems with trying to do this while you're skipping parts so you can come back up is you have to take into account where those things should be, because you don't see them on here, but I see them on the pattern. So technically, these both should come out one more, and then there should be a 5 one that comes out to right there. But they're not there right now because I'm going to fill those in when I come back up this side. There's a lot of that going on in this one with these swaths of colors that you can see. That white one right there, and then there's all that green right there, and then that purple coming down one part and then having to come back up it to go down another part. There's a lot of going part way down the thing or all the way down the thing and then coming back and finishing filling it in. Alright, so there is no real thread efficient way to get back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the one that's the least. It still uses the least amount of thread, and I'm going to jump down to this one right here. Because otherwise I would have had to jump 3. I'm going to be forced. Wait a minute, I came up the wrong one. So it's this one. Here I'm talking about not when you jump 3 blocks and I just try to jump 3 blocks. I may actually have to tie off and then go back up because it looks like some of these are leading out to a dead end. But if my plan was to go down along this side right here, snag it all and then come back, but I think because there's a couple over here that are kind of far out, I think the only way I'm really going to get to them is by snagging these first. Yeah, it's the best way to do it. Because at least then I won't get out there and then be stuck with, okay, I just finish it and there's no way to get back without tying off. So if I do this way, I'll miss that. So it's 3 across and 1 row down. There we go. This is another little mini L shape. 1 on top and then 1 below it and 1 to the side. I think actually it might be more efficient to do the one on the side. Nope. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Not gonna matter. So I'll do this one first. I considered just having the two cameras focused on the pattern. Put this one right here so you can see, and then have the other one looking up under so you could watch what's going on underneath. I mean, I rearranged for the knot I just had a little while ago, and it looks like I'm starting on another. It is exactly the same kind as before, only I hadn't quite, so I managed to pull it out before it got too tied in and was going to require the needle to separate some of the threads. Okay, and then it's 2 out and 1 down. This will be right here. And that's why it's called counted cross stitch, because you're counting squares. Again, part of the reason why I alternate which squares I'll come in and which squares I'll go out is because I'm trying to use the least amount of thread possible, which at first was really important for this one because I thought I was going to run out, but it turned out that I was okay. So 2 straight down. Alright, so now I'm going to be working my way across and then up. This one has 4 to start with, so you can start to see why I needed to go that way first and come back up, because had I gone all the way down here, I mean, I technically could have gone back, but it wouldn't have been as thread efficient. So got a knot forming. Who's being bad? Who's being bad? That was the extra edge. So right now, when you look at it, you've got 10 strands coming through between the two of these right here. You've got 10 strands coming up. One of them will come. That's the one that's tied off. This one right here. That was the one that's tied off. This one, it's the loose edge, and that one, this one right here started to do its little loop tangle. Only this got caught in it, and that was making it a little more difficult to pull, to just twist out with my fingers. I mean, I'm sure everyone here has dealt with tangled cords and things, how they just twist up and stuff. That's basically what you're dealing with. You have to kind of get the kink out in order to keep going. Alright, there's no real efficient way to do this, so I'm just going to make the jump. Oh, it's only 1 down. So, 3 blocks. Nothing I can do about it. I did just get this needle, so it's a bit new to me, I'd say. Man. And sometimes when I go to link, because this will go a certain distance, like these will be a certain distance, so if I pull it taut, you can see the thread almost makes it back down, right? If I pull it taut, it's just outside of your camera reach right there. So what I'm going to do is pull that loose one up, so now there's like that much space between the end of the extra thread and the part that's actually tied down because it's going through the pattern. Yep. Now we work our way further across. Pardon, need some water. So what were your thoughts on Factorio? I'm not a big fan. Maybe someday I'll go back to it, but I'm thinking I'm going to have to view someone else's tutorial because the people that developed it just didn't provide that much of a tutorial. They just kind of dropped you in the game and told you figure it out, and I don't like that. I like having some guidance at least. Because like you only have that one thing to start with to gather resources. If you put it in the wrong place, you have to wait until it's done. So there's just so many things that I didn't know, and that didn't make it a fun experience. Heck, and figuring out that those train controls, that was hard. Just I'm doing exactly what you want me to do. I don't know why it's not fulfilling the requirement, and it ended up being something really simple that, had they explained it, would have made sense. Oop. Sorry about that. I think I need to turn the sensitivity down on the microphone. It's really hot right now. Okay. Well, now I don't know how it's going to sound with the... Yeah, that was what I was interested in. I was interested in what the sounds would sound like. I mean not what sound, what the thing would look like once I was actually building and stuff. But I couldn't get past that initial level, and it was just so frustrating. But I've seen some setups, and it looked like the kind of game that I would like. I just couldn't get into it. And honestly, it was like, play this or play RimWorld. So I switched over to RimWorld, starting that for the first time. And that was when I started Fluff World, which I'll be playing this evening. Okay. Have you actually played it, or just watched it? Yeah, you said you like the challenge of building this kind of complex setup, so yeah, you've played it. So how did you feel about the beginning of the game, when you didn't know what you were doing? So we're talking like the very first time you played it. I know my stream of that, I expressed a lot of frustration with that. I think Fluffy came in at one point, right as I was getting to the point where I wasn't having fun anymore. And that, yeah, because I think that's why my RimWorld colony got named Fluff World, because he was there. Fluffy's a good guy. If you don't already. There we go. Last seen playing Bioshock Infinite. See, it worked that time. I wonder why I couldn't find City Skylines. Because I know Azealia is on right now. Maybe that's why, because she's actually streaming live. Still, it should be able to read her channel to see what game she's playing. Okay, so I've got 2 ways to go here, according to the pattern. Make sure that you're seeing what I'm seeing. Alright, so let's pull this. Ah, dang it. No making nuts. That's not allowed. Okay, so let's pull that there. And let's set this down. Right here. Okay, so the E's, that's what I'm there you go. So the E's are what I'm filling out, right? not the stars. And I am right here. So I've got some over here, and I've got some over here. I think it'd be more efficient to kind of nag the bottom of this, and then come back up and do this, and then just connect to that one right there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So you're over here. Actually, and because I'm doing that, well, no, I got to do this one first. Yep. And then go up here, cut across. I'm going to leave the middle one open so when I'm coming back up I can fill it. So that's the 3. Yep. And there's another 3. But I'm just going to skip that 3. I'll get it on the next one. Yep. Okay. So this one also involves a 3. This forms the bottom. So I'm going to finish this, and so now technically I'm on this side of the, as opposed to this side. I've been focusing on this side, and because that one right there, and then the color is right next to it. So you can see I'm carving the dark green, not carving the dark green. That's technically the bottom, and by doing this one, I'm over to the, well, your right, my left. I wonder what would happen, how it would look for you. Oh, you've built some in Minecraft. Like what? My daughter loves playing Minecraft, and we are building the Enterprise in another. Let's see what happens. Yeah, so now when I point left, you're going to see it on the left, and when I point right, you're going to see it on the right. There we go. Yeah, my daughter loves Minecraft. She actually plays it on 3 different things. She's got her the iOS version, and she has a form of, it's called Hack Minecraft, on her Raspberry Pi, on her Kano OS, and then she also has a world on my computer. Kid's got a lot of Minecraft options. No, I'm glad I left that run empty because I didn't realize there was a 3rd one right here. So now when I come back up here, I've got an easy one to hop up to work my way back up. I switched to having my left hand on top because, well, for one, the camera's not right there anymore. It was right over there. Yeah, that direction. And so I didn't want to block it, but with the camera up there now, I'd rather have my more efficient hand on the bottom. Yeah, see, we don't play with a lot of mod packs. Tried to get into one that's a streamer, a writing community she has, and it was taking me forever to download that mod pack just to play. I never actually managed to get in because the thing would just crash eventually, and it's all connected through Twitch. So I mean, it was just an absolute. I think I sat there for like 40 minutes working on other things while that thing tried to load. Nope, it's too much. I shouldn't have to come in and start it up and walk away for 45 minutes to an hour, so I can hop into this special customized world you've made. Alright, so I've done that. Now I do the 3 right here, finish that 3 off. Yeah, I've seen some pretty cool projects in Minecraft that involved automation. Just never really gotten that far enough into the game to do it myself. Honestly, the only reason I started playing it is because a friend of mine gifted it to me. Because they wanted to play. There was a bunch of us in the Pixel Sharks team that were playing it, so I was like, alright, I'll bite the bullet. Started it on, I think, on an Extra Life event. No, I think I started earlier in the year. Thing is, you know, I don't get it. I don't understand. I mean, I get watching people build cities, stuff like that, but watching people build in Minecraft, it never quite clicked with me why people loved watching it so much. But it works. My daughter, she streams it. When she streams it on here, she actually has a world that she's focusing on that she only streams it in German. She would, and actually it wasn't because she wanted to only do that one in German. It was partially because she was lost. She couldn't figure out how to get home on her Pluto world, and so she had me log in one day to find her. And I don't know if the game just when I did a reset or something, because I had to reinstall Windows several times after I got back from DragonCon because of some stupid update that broke things. I was getting screens of death randomly. It finally stopped, thank goodness, but it was annoying for quite a while. So when I had to do a reset and re-add everything back in, all my programs are installed on a secondary drive, so it was just a matter of making the shortcuts link to them again. And I turned the game on, intending on helping her find where she was, and I flew no more than 20 feet in one direction, and I found her. And I found her palace, her green palace. And I pointed it out to her. She's like, I tried for so long. Like, well, if you just kept looking. Or the computer fixed it for you. One of the two. She likes to think the computer fixed it for her. Because admitting that she was that lost, yeah, I don't think she was ready to do that. Okay, so I think this is going to be a good place to call this, because I've got other things I need to be doing today, especially since I've got an impromptu stream at 4 o'clock Central to play some golf with friends with the Pixel Sharks. And then later this evening I've got my RimWorld one. So, unfortunately, because I'm using that camera there, can't really do the talk to screen. So I will, if you can check the schedule below to see when my normally scheduled things are. I also added in the events for, a couple of them for the Pixel Sharks. Yeah, so we usually do a Pixel Shark stream on Saturday, but this week we did it on Sunday. So it's been fun. I hope this camera angle worked out better in terms of allowing you to see where this thing was. So I'm going to find somebody to host, see if anybody else is on. I know Azeali's on. See if there's anybody else to host. Oh, yeah, you can see it up there. Here. I'll bring it down into the middle and make it larger for you. No, it's okay. I'm just glad you came in. It's always great. So now you can see what it's going to be. And this piece that we're working on right here, this section we're working on right here, is right through here. I mean, this is where we were working. So, I mean, I don't know, you can't see the mouse. But if you look at the left-hand mountain, there's all the green along the bottom over toward the left side, there's a swath of like gray, and we are working just right at that. That's what this area is. That's that gray right there. So, alright, let's see who I can cast a host to. Normally around this time of day, Fluffy is on some days, but he's not today, so. And you should never apologize for lurking. We always have a couple. You know what? I'm gonna host up Geeky Barista. Let's do a shout out for him. He's an entertaining streamer. It looks like he's playing some RimWorld right now. So I'm going to post a raid in here. So I'm going to close this out and cast the host as soon as I end streaming. Thanks everybody. This is not a good song to end on. I need something else. That's a little better. Alright, so I will see you later today. Thanks for joining me, Seth.